Okay, good evening, everyone. It is 6:07 p.m. The Board of Trustees of the Brenham Independent School District is now convened. I wish to extend a warm welcome to everyone present. In collaboration with our families and community, Brenham ISD is committed to providing an exceptional education for all students in a safe environment. As the Brenham ISD Board of Trustees, we are here to provide local citizen governance and oversight. The management and day-to-day operations of the district are the responsibility of the superintendent. This is a public meeting of the Board of Trustees. School board meetings are open to all who wish to attend and to hear their matters discussed. Audience participation is limited to the public comment portion of the meeting. These proceedings are recorded, and I respectfully ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking. Thank you for taking the time this evening to join us for your interest in the Brenham Independent School District. At this time, Sean Coots will lead us in the pledge, followed by the invocation given by Archer Archer.
Pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please bow your head with me. Dear Lord Jesus, thank you for this day. Thank you for this opportunity to come together and gather and do the good work of Brenham ISD. Would you allow us to move through this meeting swiftly with honor and discernment in your name, Lord Jesus. And finally, I want to lift up a special prayer to the Brinkmeyer family and Bonnie as she is in recovery. We know that she is strong and her heart belongs to you, and we hope to see her again on this dais soon. In your name we pray. Amen.
Okay, before we begin tonight, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the absence of our Vice President, Bonnie Brinkmeyer. Bonnie is able to be here with us due to a recent medical emergency. We ask that you keep Bonnie and her family in your thoughts and prayers as she focuses on her recovery. Bonnie is a valued member of this board, and we certainly miss having her with us tonight. We join together in wishing her strength, comfort, and a full recovery. If you would please join me in keeping Bonnie and her family in your prayers as we begin tonight's meeting. Okay, we didn't have anybody sign up for public comment, so we are going to go straight into board members' reports / comments. Kyle, you want to kick us off?
If you think of it, just jump in, man. I got you. All right. Okay. Hey, I tell you, it's been really neat watching just the camps that are going on for athletics. My office gets to overlook the field, and just watching our kids out there, even in the heat, but just the passion that they have, and the kids coming in, telling about it. As far as not only are they happy to be out there, but they're on a mission. So it's been love watching student athletes excel, and that's been a really neat thing. And then also watching them kind of coach up younger guys. And I think it's something that's really special within our district. And also I know that the Brenham Junior High School, the cheerleaders are doing a like a Sonic card sale going on. I encourage everybody to go out there and grab those whenever you see them. They're outside Max's Donuts. Not that I was there for donuts or anything. However, it was an opportunity. But anyway, we can support our kids. And I think that that's the great thing about our community. One of the great things about our community. So looking forward to the fall and the school year.
Thanks, Sean. Just to quickly echo that, my own students are participating in a lot of these SAC camps, and shout out to the coaches that are there. This week, the cheerleaders are in College Station back and forth every day for cheer camp. Next week, I know volleyball camp kicks off, so it's an exciting time. I started loading dates in my calendar for the fall semester, and it's going to be busy. So I expect to see everybody at the football games on Wednesday, Thursdays, and Friday nights, it seems like. So I'm excited about the fall semester. There's a lot of activities going on, so it's going to be fun, and it's going to fly by extremely fast. So I look forward to seeing everybody out there at all the sports and meet the Cubs on, I think, August 15th, if I remember the right date, and then several open houses coming up in early August before the board would meet again. So excited about all the things coming up.
Again, I have kids in the SAC camps. I just appreciate everybody that's making that happen. Coaches, all the staff that's still up here at the school throughout the year, the custodials, Cassandra's team's doing a great job of their lunches, which is still just blows my mind how successful it is and the impact it's making on the community. So thank you to all the volunteers that have stepped up, all the different groups, everybody that's involved with that. And then that's about it. I'll be with all the parents of seniors as we paint parking spots starting August 1st. So it's going to be hot, but we're going to get it done. So.
And I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I just want to lift up Bonnie and her family one more time. When I got the phone call from Jared the other day, I immediately in my brain went to not the greatest place, and seeing that chair empty tonight is hard for me. She's a very, very special person to me and to this entire team and group, and we miss her dearly. And I know that she's already been directing Mike to do different things in her recovery, which sounds exactly like she would do. And so it sounds like it's on the up and up, and she's on her way back. But just want to send my love and my prayers to her and Mike and Wes and her family, and we love you so much.
Thank you, Archer. Okay, next we will move on to the superintendent's monthly update.
Yeah, so this evening, if I could just kind of remind everyone of what's been going on to get us to this meeting this evening. It's been a busy, busy summer. Thank you all for mentioning all the things going on with the kiddos. We always start to look for, I start really looking forward to the kids coming back and teachers coming back because we have so much work going on in just the logistics of school with operations. It's such a busy time for us. Sometimes people think, well, the kids and teachers are out, it must be slow, and that is not the case at all. This is some of our busiest time. So thank you, staff that's here, board, community members for your support to help get us here. We've got Eric back from Rice and Gardner tonight. He's going to talk about just the progress of the bond. That's going to be a monthly update from him. So I thank him for his time and his partnership. I sent you a text the other day. I just really value the constant, continuous conversation and relationship that you've already built with the staff. It's been phenomenal to watch you jump in and befriend people and just become one of the directors on staff. Your partnership is so valuable. He'll talk a little bit about the HVAC update that we've had to make at Krause. A lot of tonight is about the compensation plan and budget. The budget is adopted in August, but you all know, as I've said so many times, when the large majority of our budget is about the people, about the personnel. Obviously, this is a very big stepping stone to get this done tonight. So I thank you for all your time this summer. A lot of meetings leading up to this point. A lot of information given to you, so you can make a good judgment tonight. But we're bringing to you our most professional opinion, and excited to see where the board lands with that. And then, of course, the policy updates we've been sending all of you board. We've got a new school year coming on. This cabinet took on the charge of a policy review, which has not been done in this district, we were told, since 2011. So we combed through all the board policies. It was fun. Look at their faces. Wasn't that fun? We combed through all the policies over 2 days with a policy rep, and are making recommendations based off of our current practices and what we feel like makes the most sense for Brenham ISD, and we're ready to answer any of your questions there. So just in closing, for my few remarks here, it's been a big summer. Excited to get this meeting done and behind us, because it's a culmination of a lot of work that has got us here to this point. So thank you.
Thank you, Clay. We are now going to have a report on an emergency purchase of HVAC equipment at Krause. Eric?
Yeah, Eric.
Pasquale?
Di Pasquale. We had a long conversation about that.
All right, can y'all hear me okay? Click. Sorry. All right, so just to kind of go through our agenda tonight, introduction, a little bit about us, what we've been doing this first 60 of the first 90 days, and getting some things lined up so we can start hitting the ground running. Also talk a little bit about what we found at Krause when we were doing our individual campus walks with Director of Maintenance with Scott and team. We found some things and some things came about that we needed to get moving on. So this is our team. I'll show this every week just so you guys can start putting names with faces. But Patrick has been out here numerous days walking and getting to know the facilities with Scott. And Jessica and myself have been out here as well. So you'll see our faces, but that's just a reminder. So this was something that we put together when we did our original presentation. It's kind of the hit the ground running first 90 days, and we're focusing on those items there that were in the RFQ for what we're looking at as far as the projects. And then what we have done, I've kind of checked some of those bullets that we had the last time that we met. We've had a bunch of meetings with the district and administration and started to get our kind of our ducks in a row. We've set up campus walks. We've done all those walks to kind of really understand the scope. You know, we had a spreadsheet, basically, was all the information that we had. So we had to develop a little bit more information so that we can set up a plan to move forward. So we kind of validating that scope, and as we've been in that process, some things came up for Scott that were on the list that kind of jumped up to the front burner, if you will. So we're going to talk about that at the next slide, if you'll click, Brooke. So I'm sorry, it'll stay here, but it'll be the next slide. So in the last 30 days, we have gotten Park Hill Architecture under contract. They are currently getting their sub-consultants under contract. Some of the main ones that we're concerned about is our MEP subs as well as the roof sub, because there's a lot of roofing work. I have physically walked the roofs, so I've seen it with my own two eyes, and there's a lot of work to be done. And a lot of decisions to be made, and we'll bring that to the board at a later date. But those sub-consultants should be on board in the next week. We are meeting with Park Hill tomorrow. We'll have a weekly check-in with them and making sure that we're moving forward on scopes of work. Met with the permitting office today while I was in town. We're set up to meet with the entire design team the week of the 3rd. We got a couple of dates, but it will be that week. Main reason why we want to meet with them is to talk to them and give them a heads up of the projects, also get introduction of who we need to talk to in certain situations as we're moving through some of these scopes of work. So that was some good headway today, and excited about where that partnership's going to go moving forward. And then, we've kind of already started engaging some contractors on some of this work, this emergency work we're going to talk about here in a minute. Brooke, next slide. So Krause Elementary, air handler unit number 5. It's failed, and in that, it's hard to see from this picture, but that is in the corner of a mechanical room, and that's a close-up of it. If you backed away, you'd see pipes and lots of things in the way. It would look like spaghetti. You just see a lot of duct work and machinery there. But when you move back in this project, we have to take apart the top portion of that to get to the fan motor and some other equipment to get it up and running. This particular HVAC unit takes care of the gym and the cafeteria. So obviously it is an area that needs to be up and running by beginning of school. And so we've met with the district, and this is kind of an emergency situation. Scott brought this to our attention as soon as he found out that it was damaged. And we started going through systematically what the process should be. This is on the list of repairs that was on our original list. So we are going through that. The threshold for expenditures is $35,000, which you guys are, I'm sure, aware. This particular, there's a bid tab on the next slide. I'll show you in a minute. Oh, well, okay, we can jump there. That'll kind of go through that. The original bid came in under the $35,000, but what we realized is in order to get it done before school starting, we needed to pay for an expediting fee to get the parts and pieces here. So we went about getting that pricing from the bidders. That gives a 2-week lead time that started on Friday of last week. We had to get an authorization to them as soon as possible so we could meet the date. School is going to start whether we have air conditioning or not, and we want to have air conditioning. So we made sure that we got that taken care of with Clay and team's help. And then it'll take about 7 weeks to decouple that unit. It's going to take 7 weeks, 7 days. Sorry, 7 days to decouple that unit and put it back together. And so we've got a team, Air Tech out of College Station, that is coming to do that work. They've already ordered the parts and pieces, and they are a vendor that's part of Buy Board, so that'll make Daryl happy. So that's kind of that project in a nutshell. If you'll click to the next, I'll show the bid tab. So once we figured out we had an issue, we got with 4 HVAC consultants and did an informal bid process. And what I mean by informal, it wasn't, publicly let because we needed to expedite this. You can see our top 2 bidders, our 2 low bidders, are within $400 of one another, and how they kind of came about. But we've authorized Brazos Air Tech to get started, and we should be in construction 2 weeks from today. So that's where we stand on Krause Elementary Air Handler number 5. If anybody has any questions on that.
You said expedited. So when do you expect it to be complete
So
and up and running? I guess is a better answer or question. When do you expect it to be up and running?
the week before school.
So did we need to expedite the parts since it said 2-week lead time?
We wanted to make sure we had time on the back end. It was going to be pushing up to about the 11th, and we weren't sure if something was to go wrong or they didn't hit the time frame. We wanted to make sure that we had air conditioning, and we just felt as a team, speaking to the administrative team, that was the best solution for this particular unit.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. Good question. It's only the second time I've done this since being your superintendent. Moved forward with the purchase beyond the $35K for an emergency type situation. I did not want a chance, and I knew you did not want a chance starting school without air conditioning. So we moved forward.
Next slide. So one of the other items that came up as we were doing our site visits is this Krause Elementary, the flooring repair for the gym and the cafeteria. This slide has changed over the last 24 hours because we met today with a bunch of folks in the field. So I'm going to walk through some of these are a little bit different, but the gym flooring is hot. It has asbestos mastic underneath the tile. So in order to change out that flooring, we would have to do abatement in that space. The problem with asbestos is that you have a time frame that you have to get that done. We have to have some air readings done, which we had done today with Scott's help, with his consultant King Environmental. They came in. They're doing the testing on the floor. The gym, we know, is going to come up hot because it's of the type of mastic that's down there. We do not think that's the case in the cafeteria. We also found that there's moisture in the slab, and there's just moisture seeping up, and that's why we think the tiles keep popping in these areas, especially the gym. It's old tile. It's been there a long time, but because of the moisture in the slab, it's making the tiles pop. So because of that, we put some probes in one of the pictures there. You can kind of see that green tab. That probe goes into the slab and measures the moisture in the slab. And we read it today, and it was higher than it should be. And with that, it comes into whether or not you can put VCT back on there and get the warranty that you want. the glues that are manufactured today are not as strong as the glues that had the mastics of yesteryear, and because of that, any moisture in the slab, our manufacturers won't warranty the work, and so we've got to make sure that that gets taken care of. So we had a great plan to try to get this done before the beginning of school. After today's findings of the moisture in the slab and knowing that we're going to have to abate and the 10-day notice that we have to give the state in order to do an abatement or removal process, that would push us right up or right past the date of the 12th. And we know that the teachers and that those areas are used on a daily basis. So we're with conversation with Scott this morning, and then follow-up conversation with Clay, we've decided to punt on trying to get that done by beginning of school, and that we're going to get all our ducks in a row to do a fall break, Thanksgiving week removal of the flooring and do the demo, and then come back over Christmas break and put the flooring down. If that's kind of our plan as of today, and maybe the first time Clay's heard that. I can't remember if I said that to you earlier. So that is our plan, to try to get it done as quickly and timely as possible. So in the meantime, there's loose tiles, and Scott, you can see on that picture on the right corner, he has patched that room. I don't know how many times. I think we saw about 11 or 12 different patches over the years. And so he'll do the patches with his team and get those tiles set so that the kids can be in that space. But we're just not going to be able to get the work done in the time frame that we have before school starts. So that's where we are with that one. Any questions on the flooring?
Just real quick, just
Yeah.
to ask that the obvious non-professional question: is there any risk to our students or our teachers? Because as soon as we hear,
Yeah,
there's a possible
that-
hazardous, and so just want to
Good question.
put that across.
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. There is no hazard as long as it's covered, which it will be. And before Scott goes down, those areas that it was exposed, we'll spot abate that, and then glue the new tile down, which has been the procedure in the past. Asbestos obviously is a serious thing. It's a hazard. But if it is encapsulated, it's not an exposure to any student or to any of the teachers or instructors. So it will be, once it has glue on it, it's encapsulated and it's not at risk.
Was
Yeah.
was this part of the original list?
Yes.
Okay. 2 questions. You said new flooring, but then up there it says concrete slab was tested, may need to be sealed. Let me ask a question outside the box here. Why put new tile down at all? Why can't we just grind and sand down the slab as it is? Technically, that's my second question. The first question is, where's the moisture coming from? Have we looked into that? Do we know where it's coming from? Because obviously, there's no point in putting flooring down if we're going to continue to have a moisture problem.
We just found out about the moisture, that it was raised this morning at 10 a.m.
Got
So
it.
we haven't gone through any investigation at this point. Good question, but we haven't. Another reason why we're dropping back and punting. I would tell you, what was the first question you had? Was tile. So we have not come with a solution yet. There's a lot of school systems that are going back, not necessarily with VCT, especially in corridors or areas like the cafeteria. Maybe you go back with an LVT, a little noise absorption. Especially if I heard somebody dragging a cart down the hallway, you don't hear that if it's on an LVT type situation. VCT is a hard surface and sound bounces off of it. So there's other opportunities with other things out there. As far as the gym itself, we did talk about that. What are our options? I did talk to a contractor today, just kind of getting an idea. We could seal it, we could stain it, we could do an epoxy floor, we could go back with VCT. Now that the architects are on board, we're going to get them involved with coming up with the right solution for this, and we'll be able to tell you guys more about that next month. Is that fair? Good. Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead,
so I
Archer.
have a question. So And the HVAC brought up this question in my mind. What happens as you guys are going through the list or the plan thought of what you're here to do, and then, oh, darn, well, this popped up or this popped up over here, and we haven't planned for XYZ, and we only have a certain amount of obviously precious money to use on these items. What is the discernment and decision making when it comes to I don't want to say emergency items, because obviously that HVAC at Krause is imperative, but you understand
Yeah.
where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do. So there's other examples throughout, and I think we have to decide as a team, the administrative team, and Scott's going to be very influential in some of that conversation. When it's a maintenance item versus it's time to replace the item, and we need to be good stewards of the dollars. So we're looking at certain situations where it may make more sense to fix the problem now, and then we might have to replace it in the future. But you still have to students need to have a environment that they can be in with the teachers, and so we have to weigh those things out, Archer. And I think that's a great question that we will, every time those things hit. Some of these expenditures are going to be over certain hurdles from the state that we just can't go and purchase things. If it's over an aggregate with a contractor over $100,000, there's checks and balances that we have to go through and make sure that we're following the process from the state to keep Brenham ISD out of any kind of situation. So we don't want any audit situations. So we need to make sure that we're following the processes and procedures moving forward.
Absolutely, I appreciate that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, just out of curiosity, is that the original floor for that building from the
I think it is in the gym.
for the most part?
I believe the gym is original. The cafeteria was abated in 2013, but we're having similar issue in the cafeteria. Them tiles popping too. So
Just for the record, what year was that school built?
I believe like 97, something like
Yeah.
80s.
So
So,
40,
yeah, that's
closing on
40.
50 years. Yeah, 40 something. Yeah.
I would tell you that the field, what you can see in the top left-hand corner is the cafeteria. That is in much better shape, but it was redone. It was abated and redone. There's still some that have popped on him over the years. When we popped some of the tiles to do the moisture probe tests, they were really easy to pop. The glue's really not adhering. So we've got to come up with the best solution, and so we need to do that. Now, that air handler that's down also affects this area, and so without air exchanges in the space, the humidity is up, and so our readings are going to be more elevated. And so it's the cart before the horse. We got to get that HVAC, and then we'll probably have to retest and figure out where we are. But right now, those readings, especially after the weekend and the heat that we had, they were high.
Yeah, needs to be dehumidified.
Yep.
So just one more question. What's the potential of a domino effect on that? As far as here, 'cause
Sure.
you mentioned it's popping there.
So,
Are there other areas with the same stuff?
for the work in the cafeteria, if we have to mitigate the moisture in the slab, basically what that is, it's a lack of a better term, a kind of a bead blast of the floor to get down to some aggregate, and then you put a sealer on it, and that is a mitigation that the manufacturers of the glues will allow to have happen, because then you're bonding the glue to the sealer and not the moisture coming up, right? So it's a process, but that adds time, and we don't have it leading to school. So that's why we sat there with the calendar this morning and really kind of looked at it and said, is there any way? And we could not find a way to get us to the end game in time. Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Let me just quickly say thank you for all the questions. Archer, thank you for that question. That was my very first question when Eric came in. It's just the rhythm of the work, right? This team has established quite a rhythm, and what's that rhythm of work look like, and when does it fall on Scott and his department and Eric? So thank you for that. And it's that's right. It's just continuous conversation. So we're talking all the time.
And a massive list of wants. Massive. I'm gonna. That was actually item 6 and item 7 on the agenda, which item 7 was maintenance and facilities update. So thank you for covering both of those at the same time. Next, consider and possible approval of payment to program manager Rice and Gardner as agreed upon in the negotiated contract. Mr. Gillenstein?
Yeah. So this. Coming in, we made the decision to move forward with the program manager. We know some neighbors, without naming neighbors, we know some neighbors that maybe would have changed their choice just due to some of the obstacles that have come along with trying to manage all the work that goes on here. I think surely people understand that Scott has got a large facility, all the plants in this ISD to manage, which is way more than a full-time job without taking on all the construction that's coming our way. So that's why we've hired a program manager, and this is for that first payment. We pay them as we move along through the work.
If the meetings are going to go anything like the conversation we just had back and forth, I look forward to what's going to go forward in the future, because, I mean, we like to ask very difficult questions sometimes, and just the transparency and I don't know, let me get back to you, all that type of stuff. So I think I'm glad we chose what we chose, and I look forward to getting through this whole process with y'all together. So thank you.
Yeah, I want to say, before you move forward with authorization of this payment, that Eric has got nothing but our best interest, our fiduciary interest in mind. That's what he's hired to do, is to look out for the construction and our financial interest. So I'm very glad to have him on board.
I was going to say, I can almost guarantee this will not be the last project where you have to go to plan B or plan C or reevaluate as you go through it, because we expect many of these projects to have challenges ahead of you. So if no one else has anything else, questions?
Hold on, I got a question. After reading through it, Clay, I want to make sure I understand. It says maximum term 28 months or project completion. Is the total amount we're paying them split up 28 months, but if they finish it, and I'm just going to pick a number, in 20 months, are they still getting that full amount in 20 months?
Oh,
Does that make sense?
It does. That's a question I wish you would have asked me before now, because I'm going to have to look into. Do any of you know that contract language offhand? Eric, do you know that language?
So the way it would work is, we had to pick a date. We had to pick a time. So we went with the end of August of that. I think it was August or December, whatever that was. We picked a date and drew a line in the sand, because we really want to try to get that work done. If we get done earlier, there would be a deductive change order. If we have to go further, we would come back to you all and have a conversation. But we don't foresee that to be the case. We really felt like we needed to plan and have 2 major summers worth of construction, as well as some of these fall breaks, and take advantage of them. And there's going to be some work that we're going to be able to do while the students are in school. We just have to know that we can do it safely.
Yeah, that's the only part I wanted to chime in on, is we did intentionally draw that line in the sand, as you say, with 2 summers ahead of us for plenty of time for completion. So we do not expect that to happen.
Our contract with the district is for 5 years. We don't know for sure that we're going to be doing work for 5 years. So it didn't make any sense to us. So we tried to draw a line in the sand that we felt that was doable and we could agree upon moving forward. And that's where we.
Well, I have no problem with the time frame, the line in the sand date. All that makes sense from a construction standpoint, and from what your guys doing. I would like to make sure that it has the right language in there. So you said deductive change order, which means it would be less, but you finish sooner. That's good. That's something we would encourage and want. So I would like to make sure that you get paid the full amount if you finish sooner. So there's incentive for you to finish sooner because I want it done soon.
Yeah. So
Is what I was getting at. That's why I asked the question.
there's incentive, and again, I think this could be another time, another place, but we are not looking to work longer than we need to. We want to get the job done for y'all and our clients. That's how we work. So if we get done earlier, then we'll negotiate and decide what makes sense for the district. I want to make sure you guys are getting the biggest bang for your buck. Okay. Yeah.
All right, thanks for the clarification. I will go ahead and make the motion to approve the payment to Program Manager Rice and Gardner as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, Justin Colley made a motion, seconded by Kelvin Raven, to approve the payment to Rice and Gardner as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, guys. Next, Mr. Sinclair, the financial update.
Good evening, everyone. There we go. All right, so we'll go through our usual monthly reports here of budget versus actual, starting with the revenue. You can see that we've collected the vast majority of our local revenue, our 5,700 category, which includes tax collections mainly, but other local sources as well. Our state revenue, we're still waiting on that final TEA payment that will come at the end of next month, right before the end of August. Other than that, we probably have about all the state revenue. Well, there is one other state revenue. Our TRS on behalf revenue that's really flow through money from the state, that does increase monthly as we process payroll. So that does go up each month. It's not what I would say, it's not real revenue, it's booked revenue, but it's still part of the revenue stream. It still counts as state program revenue. And then we have our federal program. We're probably getting close to finishing up what we're going to receive for this year. We did just get a SHARS payment last week, I believe it was, settle up payment from the previous Medicaid fiscal year. So we did get that, I think it was about $236,000, I believe, is what we just received on that. So we probably hit about the majority of what we're going to see in that bucket. Okay, then now we have our expenses by function. Again, this is updated as of the end of June. So you can see that we're still under budget in every different function that's on the list. Keep in mind, this is the conglomeration of the general fund, food service fund, and the debt, the debt service fund. As I'm sure you probably know by now, but I'll just throw that out there because we don't see much change in the debt service. That's function 71. We don't see a lot of change in that throughout the year. We have bond payments that are due in February, and we have bond payments that are due mid-August. So we're coming up here real soon getting those bond payments. So when we get to September, you won't even see it this time next month. It won't hit until September when you see the August results. But that function 71, where we have $1.871 million, will jump up significantly once we hit the end of August. But that's planned. That's the schedule that we follow on our payments. The next one. Okay, we have our tax collection report. Investment report first. And you can see there that everything's holding fairly steady. We do, at this point of the year, since tax collection revenue is starting to dip, and as I mentioned, we're waiting on that last TEA payment. So we do expect at this point in the year to start moving a little bit of the money back from our Texas Class General Operating Account back to the local bank to supplement our local revenues that we have at Brenham National Bank for our payroll especially. So we do start scheduling those transfers back over. We put as much as over to the pool as we can. When we get the money earlier in the year, we let it sit there as long as we can, and then we gradually bring over as needed. Don't want to bring over too much at one time, just what we need to get through payroll each month. And just a note about the interest rates for the first time, I think, probably this whole year, this whole fiscal year. I can actually tell you that the rates went up slightly, just ever so slightly. They've been decreasing about 0.02% now for quite a while. They actually went back up 0.02%. So we're undid what we lost last month, or the month before, I guess. So we did have just a slight increase in our interest rates. Nothing huge, but still better than dropping any more percentage points. And then finally, our tax collection report. And again, you can see that the vast majority, I think we're up at about 96.5% of collections. By the time we end August, and I'm giving you this report in September, we should be right around the 98 to 98.5% mark, which is where we typically find ourselves at the end of the fiscal year. So we're still right on track for our tax collections. Any questions about any of the general monthly data?
Well, thank you as always.
All right.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Don't go nowhere. Consider a possible approval of budget amendments.
Okay, so we do have one budget amendment. I was thinking this could wait until next month. You know, we do amend the budget, the general fund budget, especially when we get to the month of August. As you know, whatever the final budgeted amounts are in each function when we hit August 31st, the end of our fiscal year, that's it. It's set. Nothing else can be changed after that point in time. So there's typically I don't want to call it a last minute shuffle, but it kind of is a last minute shuffle, making sure that we have enough money in each function so that just in case, as we go through the audit process in the fall, in case something comes up that the auditors decide needs to be recoded to a different function, we have cushion in each function to handle those changes. So, like I said, typically I would bring this to you in August along with all the other changes that we will propose, but we actually have a couple of bills that we need to pay sooner rather than later. So this one really can't wait. And what I decided to do is make my best estimate of what we'll need, not just right now, but as of the end of August. So my plan right now is to not ask you to put any more money into function 52, safety and security. When we get to the overall amended budget next month, this should, I think, cover us as of the end of the fiscal year. So we're going to kind of do an immediate and a long term all at the same time here. So I am proposing that we move $200,000 from function 11 to function 52 to get us through the rest of the fiscal year in our safety and security function. Any questions?
That the going back to the previous whatever it's called in the combined fund budget versus actual, it shows that security is at $900,000. I thought our security budget was lower than that, and so my other question is, it shows that we have 800 already used or spent. So this would put us over budget on security. Is that correct? Am I understanding that right?
So currently we have 926,282 is the current function 52 budget. We have spent 814 of that. We have about 98,000 left, which is why we needed to add a bit more to that. So yes, we are increasing it overall. We've all these items that I listed here in the board document, the security window film, outdoor replacement, warning system replacement of data, equipment, the security radio batteries, FCC license update. A lot of these things were not planned for. Some of these kind of jumped up all of a sudden. We had our TEA audit earlier this year.
Yeah, and can I explain this to some of the public? Yeah. Remember, I know all of you know this, but when we started the school year, this year especially with some of the mandates that were coming with our spending, we knew that there were going to be more transfers from function to function, but the end all dollar amount does not change. So this is a prime example of that. There were some safety precautions that the state has made us take on, like the ballistic film, like this is the year we've added the shields, right, to all the offices. There's several things that we had to do that came out after, or as we were still letting the dust settle, sort of with the budget that we knew we were going to take on. But this does not affect the bottom line of the budget.
No, this is just a transfer from one function to the other, with no increase to the overall budget. So that's we do have a few bills we need to get paid before the end of August, and doing so would actually put us over function, the current function budget. So,
Does anybody have more questions? All right. What is the? We will need a motion on this.
I make a motion to approve the budget amendment as presented.
I second.
Kelvin Raven has made a motion, seconded by Sean Kuntz, to approve the budget amendment as presented. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Joe.
thank you.
Okay, next, consider and possible approval of the district's compensation plan for the 26-27 school year. Superintendent Gillentine and his executive staff will present.
Yeah, so I have the cabinet up here as well for any questions. Guys, we spent months and months and months, through the summer digging into this to bring you the best data we can. Compensation package based on the comps around us, neighboring districts. So we want to remain a competitive employer. It's an ecosystem though. This school business that we're in. We've got academic responsibilities. We've got fund balance responsibilities. Safety, as we just mentioned. So there's expectations with every one of those hats we wear. So we can this year, well, let me back up and say, I initially gave you what 2% would look like and what 3% would look like. Clay, why 2 to 3%? Well, we showed that inflation in Brenham was at 2.8%. We felt like to keep up with the raises you just gave last year, unless people want to feel a loss of money due to inflation, insurance costs, the price of milk, the price of diesel, whatever it might be, unless we want people to feel a loss of money at home, that we need to keep up with inflation. So this is simply a cost of living raise that we're recommending after a substantial raise last year that you gave. Again, big pat on the back to all of you for being able to get that done. The big raise at Brenham ISD through the Vader, as well as what the state did, was a great year for our staff and our teachers last year. And we don't want to lose any of that momentum. It would be easy to let that slide a year or two and then find ourselves in another catch-up position. So I have pushed in for a 3% raise to stay ahead of the 2.8% inflation. To maintain the raise that you gave last year, we can still pass a balanced budget with plans of putting money back into our fund balance. I've told you that we are trying to strategically plan in all regards. Maintenance and facilities, academics, financially. We feel like financially we can put approximately, I'm not promising $1 million every year, but approximately $1 million a year over the next 5 years to get us to our goal. So working very hard to strategically plan on all fronts. We've got a responsibility to the staff, the morale of the staff, the culture of the staff, and keeping up with again, in inflation. So I'm recommending a 3% raise for all staff. Again, that includes a balanced budget and money going back in our fund balance. And we welcome any questions from any of you. We've shown you the difference between a 2% and 3%. At the end of the day, board, please know this is a board decision, right? It's my job and my staff's job to bring you our best recommendation. So after many of months of study, this is our recommendation, but we will entertain any questions or recommendations.
I have a question. you know, this is one of the biggest things we do as a board is compensation plans and budgets. And the three things that I was looking for when we did this was, number one, is it balanced? Number two, can we put money back into fund balance? And then number three, can we give the teachers a raise? And this checks all three of those boxes. So, I mean, 3% doesn't sound like a lot, but inflation's at 2.8%. You know, we were sitting here this time last year talking about all the teachers that we lost to the surrounding districts. And this is just a small thing we can do to help retain those teachers, to show them, you know, how much we do care about them, because we would not be the district we are if we didn't. And, you know, being on the board for 2 years of not being able to give raises, and then the raises we got last year, and then, you know, I'm grateful that we're able to do.
I'm glad you brought that up. Again, I said you gave a substantial raise last year. We don't want to lose that momentum that you gained last year, because remember, prior to last year, we had to go two years without a raise at all. So I told you the other day that, you know, I can't tell you what the future holds, but I feel like on this projection we can continue to put money back in our fund balance and keep up with the cost of living. Again, I'm not promising that we can do 3% again next year. I'm saying we can do it this year, and we'll see what next year holds.
I'm very excited to hear that. We have to show all employees that we value them. And doing a substantial amount of raise last year and then back doing with the momentum, do the 3%, I think that's great. I've been approached by multiple employees when we weren't giving raises, and you had to sit there and take that. And now we're able to give the first raise last year, now one this year. I think the momentum is moving in the right direction, and I believe our employees will be very satisfied. All employees, when I say all employees, will appreciate what we're trying to do, for them. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and let me use that to say this, Raven. We are recommending 3% for all staff. Like where you landed last year, like the continuous modifications we're making to the compensation package. That's always that's always a project to take on each year, is to sort of right size that compensation package moving forward. So we're happy with the progress we've made there and what we're recommending this year. The raise again is to while a compensation package is about bringing people in. The raise is about keeping those current folks, right? So I just want to distinguish the difference in those two.
Well, what's the total contribution going to go to the fund balance? Do we know what that number is yet?
For this year?
Yeah.
Do you feel comfortable saying this year? You said it aloud in my office this morning without me prying it out of your...
Part of our job.
So I've done more updated estimations on where we're going to end 25-26 just in the last week or so since the last board meeting. I still feel confident it's going to be somewhere at close to $1 million. Again, I've got a lot of calculations that I'm just estimating, and I'm trying to estimate conservatively, meaning probably a little higher on the expenses than what would really be the case until I get some more firm numbers, which hopefully I'll have in the next few days, especially those August accruals. That's one of the harder things that is to estimate until I get better data. But we're still in the ballpark of $1 million. I'd say definitely between 800,000 and $1 million, and there's still the possibility of being slightly over $1 million if my estimates are conservative enough and expenses are not quite as much as I think they might be. So we're still in that ballpark of $1 million.
Okay, so the follow-up to that is you're proposing 3%, which I believe from our previous meeting was approximately 1.1 was our call, or was it 1.2? 1.1 and change, maybe somewhere in between that 1.1 to 1.2 is the
1.17, I believe. So yeah,
so almost 1.2. So if we go benefit of the doubt and say between 800 and $1 million, and we're at $1 million, then we're putting less into fund balance than we're putting towards raises. And I'm gonna pause on that. So I can't, and I said it at the last meeting, and I'm telling them this is more a conversation for the board, not for y'all, but there's zero chance I can vote for and support a raise that's going to do that. 2%, I believe the numbers were 700 and change. I believe. I'm going based off memory here, but
Yeah, I think the difference between 2 and 3 was about 400,000, so that would make it about 750-ish.
750. That I can get behind because we're putting fund balance in a better spot. Ultimately, I'd prefer, and it didn't get brought up until afterwards, I would prefer some type of either a hybrid or doing 1% and then focusing on what I asked for. You, Clay, asked for the head count with teachers and students to teacher ratio. And I went through and looked. We're adding one kindergarten teacher from this year to last year is what our projections say. I don't know if that's confirmed or not, but it looks like we're adding one. And then we're adding 2 first grade teachers, but we're losing a second grade teacher. And I'm talking about total head count, right? Our ratios are getting a little bit better in kindergarten, which is great. First grade looks to be the same or worse, depending on where we're looking, but we'll call it the same. Second, third is all about the same. So personally, I would prefer for us to consider looking into a way of adding another teacher across the board to lower that student to teacher ratio, which would go a lot further. We're hiring an additional teacher instead of giving raises to the current teachers. We can do both because we need an extra teacher. And if I look at $400,000, whatever the number may be, that's a couple of teachers right there. That's 4 teachers, plus or minus. I know we're talking in vague numbers here, but in no way can I get behind not putting more in fund balance than raises. And secondly, I would prefer to get our ratio down and put money towards hiring new teachers and fixing the student teacher ratio, because that's where the kids are going to learn. That's how we're going to improve scores, and that's how we're going to get where we need to do, which is what Sarah's been trying to do, is turn the ship around from having being at a C to being to a B, getting to an A. That's where we need to be. So I'm not sure how anybody else feels about that, but I'm okay with doing some type of raise, but I can't do it. I can't get behind it if we're doing more for raises than fund balance, and I think we need to bring on more teachers.
So I agree with your overall premise, and it's what I started the conversation with. It's it's an ecosystem. We've actually absolutely got a responsibility to the student-teacher ratio, and we showed where that is moving in the right direction. Yes, the total number of count doesn't look that much higher, but the number of elementary students in those grades has decreased as well. The overall ratio is improving. The state wants to see you at 22-1, or you have to apply for a waiver to go beyond that. You can see that's our goal, where we've had waivers during these tough fiscal times. Where, again, I want to remind everybody, where we absorbed 50-ish positions, 35-ish teacher positions. For financial reasons, we've been able to add about 15 positions back, with a good eye on those ratios. So you're right. Adding your average teacher with fringe is 70-ish.
Probably pretty close to 100, about 90,000, I would say, with insurance and
with the insurance
benefits,
too.
yes.
Yeah. So that money gets spent fast, and you add one kindergarten teacher to what each. Let's see. Alton's got 4. Seeley's or Krause's got 5.
The projections say 5, 5, and 6.
5,
if
5,
that
and
helps.
6.
But that's
Okay.
projections. Last year it was 4, 5, 6. But
Okay.
I'm not saying we need to add one to every class.
My point being, right? You
One
add
overall.
you add one overall, and you've increased the ratio by what? Maybe a.
I'd have to get on my calculator and do the math, but adding a teacher
And then
is going to pull
does
students away from the other
research
teachers.
show that difference in a class of 18 versus 20? Is that going to make the difference in the scores? How much more does the staff appreciate a 2% raise versus a 3% raise? I'm not trying to make any kind of point here other than these are the questions we have to answer, right? We are absolutely charged with the responsibilities of this academic institution. We're also charged with putting money back in fund balance. We're also charged with giving our staff a fair wage. So I appreciate that you say you can get on. I think you said you could get on board with a 2%. I brought 2% or 3% 3% to this board because I felt with inflation at 2.8, that was the fairest place to have the conversation to continue what you accomplished last year. Otherwise, we're losing ground. But at the end of the day, I want to remind the board it's your decision. We brought to you 2 or 3 because I can professionally get behind either one of those. I'm telling you, we can do 3 this year, and I feel comfortable with it with the projections that we have over this next 5 years.
So
Sorry,
the ratio was probably a question for Sarah. Go ahead, Archer.
sorry, Clay. You just said we're losing ground financially if we don't stay at the 3% compared to what we did last year, and I absolutely agree with you mathematically and statistically, but I also think, to Kyle's point, we're losing ground academically if we don't do more to right size faster, because at the end of the day, everything we do is supposed to support learning, and not that we're not. But I agree with everything everybody has said. It's all very difficult. Honestly, I would support a 3% raise, but I would feel more comfortable with the 2% raise, knowing that we're potentially adding some position back.
Okay, but just let me be clear. You can't do both. A minute ago, we were talking about putting money back in a fund balance, and now we're talking about adding teacher positions. Again, one affects the other. We've got fund balance, we've got wages,
Right.
we've got position control with
Right.
the teacher-student ratios. Those 3 things drive your budget conversation. So I'm trying to take the most balanced approach. I feel like that's what all of you are trying to do here, is take the most balanced approach. We can debate how many eggs we want in which basket. I think we all recognize that all baskets need attention. So at the end of this conversation, it's your decision. You've got my recommendation.
Let me just ask a question, just for clarity. When we talked about the 1.7 with the 3% increase, is that just employees we have now, or are aspirational? So we're saying, hey, we're still going to hire three folks here. We're going to hire 3 teachers here. So is that, what was that 1.7 number based off of? The employees we currently have under contract. 1.17. Sorry, my glasses are off, guys. Sorry about that. Yeah, the 1.17, is that off of the people that we're looking to hire, included in that amount? And then if so, are we happy with that full number of the people? Because if we have gaps and we're going to be rehiring or putting people back in those positions, so that 1.17, that's also not going to hit against, I guess, us hiring new people if we had already planned on hiring them as well.
Basically, the 1.17 total
Yep.
figure for a 3% raise is based off of our projections of number of employees
That's what we want to have.
for the next school year.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
and it
And
includes
so that's
the
includes the new
question. Are
hires
some of
and
those new
staff.
hires recapturing some of the 50? I guess that's the question. If it is, it might be getting 2 birds, 1 stone, because we're already budgeting for them and they're included in that. And so I think understanding where we're trying to fill in those gaps, because if we're short, like special education, we're short, or we're short with a kindergarten teacher, well, we may say, hey, that's already in the game plan. We're already doing that. And so we may actually be doing both of these things. So I guess I wanted to understand how many we're trying to hire back in. Is it going to be able to drive our ratios down, which I know is your ongoing goal?
So I think what you're asking, Sean, is all of those positions have been accounted for in the amount that Daryl has budgeted for the 3% raise. So we started adding and posting positions back in January after the passage of the Vader, and we've added back 17 positions. And so those have been accounted for in calculating that raise.
I think another thing to think about here, guys, too, is we are worried about the education of our kids. And one of the big things that falls on that is our teacher retention, because having a teacher having to start over and build that curriculum from scratch after you lose an experienced teacher, that kills a grade level. So I mean that's a big thing. The 3% to me is us showing appreciation to them to get them to want to stay, so we don't have to start over.
It's not only staying, but it's recruiting as well. It's getting new team members on the team when we've had countless new teachers over the past couple of years that Sarah and her team have had to work from the ground up because they're not seasoned, and that affects the classroom probably more than anything, quite frankly.
And that's a good point. So if we get a 3%, we'll still have seasoned teachers and they'll stay.
Right.
So when these teachers leave, do y'all do an exit interview? What's the first thing they say when they leave? Can you please say that?
Yeah, it's usually compensation.
And okay. And it's not just one, right? It's a pattern of teachers that say that, right? Okay, thank you.
I want to point out that this conversation, Sarah, I'd love for you to take the mic and say what you want to say in regards to leading and learning. But each one of them represent a lane, and I'm going to repeat something Brooke said today because I took it as a compliment. She said that she appreciated the round table that we sit at when we meet as cabinet because I expect this. I want them to push back. I want them to tell me exactly what they think, and we do exactly what you're doing right now. So I want to reaffirm that, we don't have just kind of roll in here with a number. We spend months crunching this from every angle, including a leadership and learning angle. So can you speak to that, Sarah?
Right. And I want to echo, that we're just here to inform, and absolutely it is the school board's decision on how to move forward. I think there's several things that have come up that I can speak to. Number one, let's talk about class size ratios. And so understanding that when you have, like the state has us submit a waiver if we go over 22, and we are under that waiver right now, currently at where we're sitting in kindergarten and first grade. I'll need to look at those numbers more closely. So one thing that we know is that the quality of the teacher makes, and research says over and over and over again, I can pull us research after research, that the number one indicator of student success is the quality of the educator before the students. And so having a quality educator is crucial. What Trustee Archer just spoke to is that part of the attrition that we have seen is in part to, of course, it's multiple faceted at times, but our number one reason has to do with compensation. And so as I think about how does Brenham ISD become a place that is going to attract the most high quality educator to be before our children, a lot of that is going to go to compensation. Of course, we know culture, and there are multiple factors. When I spoke to campus principals, and I looked back to see what principals were here, and we talked about hiring this year compared to the last 2 years. And principals are excited about their ability to recruit in the educators that they've recruited in, which signals to me that the fact that we have begun to look at our compensation, we're becoming a more attractive place. So I think it's a balance. Research does say that class size is not an indicator of student performance. It's the quality of the educator. Second to the educator before the students, it's the campus principal. Those are our two highest indicators. And so what Leading and Learning is continually doing, and we had a community ed full of math teachers today being trained by one of the, amazing math companies in the state of Texas, is trying to build that quality educator, through that human capital management system. And so while I know class size is something that I know our teachers feel is overwhelming, we have worked very hard with our campus principals. We met at ATM meetings and had them submit what their requests were, and we have continually tried to meet those. So I don't know if that gives you a perspective from Leading and Learning, or what is missing that you need to know from a Leading and Learning perspective that I can share.
You said that class size isn't as big of an indicator. So if that's the case, then hiring more teachers isn't as important. So I guess, withdraw my request to do that. That if we don't need more teachers, then I guess we don't need more teachers. But one thing you did say was they're excited to recruit right now. That would mean it's the opposite of where we're at, because if previously we were at 0% raise, 0 raise, and now 8%. So now we actually are leading the area.
Right.
And so we have people wanting to come here. So I'm going to push back, CJ. I don't believe that that's actually true, that people are saying they're leaving because of compensation. Unless they're going to Waller, we pay more than everybody else around us.
Right.
So I think there's, for lack of a better phrase, that's BS. I'm calling nonsense on that because we pay more than everybody else. So how can it be both? They're either excited to recruit or we're losing too many teachers. Because hold on, Sarah, this is more for CJ, I guess. But if we are having an issue, because 1 year ago we were sitting here saying we've got 50, 60 new positions open. We can't recruit. I remember on Facebook seeing Jillian and Watts and all the principals posting that they're interviewing, come apply. And it was stressful because they were wanting to hire and had to hire so many people because so many people left, right? We passed the Vader, we give them raises. Now we have the money and we have the staff, so we didn't lose as many. So how can it be that they're leaving because of money, but yet we fixed the money problem? So which one is it? So I'm confused on that. First of all, we're paying more than everybody else except Waller. And I think we established that as a fact last meeting.
I think it's historically. So when you look
Right,
at
so we
last year,
fixed
you
the
tell
problem.
the story of last year. And last year we saw that our applicant pool, and we have principals with us as well. It was continually trying to bring in. I think what we are experiencing this season, right, this summer with those that have left, is that we're seeing teachers that are coming from the smaller districts, if you will, around us because we are leading in that compensation. So I think when we look at our story since no raise, and then last summer was a challenge, and here we are, we've passed a compensation or moving, you see the trajectory is moving in the right direction.
Yeah, we actually had, if you remember last summer when we were talking with strategic planning, we were tracking it, the number of students or teachers we were actually losing to Waller because of compensation. And so my point was, again, at the time I said, we're never going to compete with Waller. What we have to compete with is, when is it not worth the drive? I'd rather be here close to my child's baseball practice, softball practice, band practice. As a parent, I choose to be here. At some point, the pay got to a gap that we were losing a lot of teachers to Waller. You did a great job of closing that last year with a combination of what we did locally with the Vader and with what the state did. We did a great job of closing that, and we're seeing that momentum change. And I don't want to lose that. It's that attraction and staff wanting to be here. So we're seeing that for the first time in a while, and we want to keep that.
I was going to say, I remember going through the election process and having conversations with principals, and last summer, after I was elected onto the board, I remember several principals saying we just don't have applicants at all. And I think it's completely changed this year. I think we're seeing applicants coming to this area. Part of that, in my opinion, is the community support. So we passed the Vader, we passed a bond. The community is behind the school district right now. And I think we need to continue in that direction and show the community that we're investing our money in retaining our teachers. Inflation 2.8%. We got to stay ahead of that. 0.2% of a raise, to stay ahead of inflation is nothing. And I don't want to fall behind any further. I don't want to fall behind again. I want to show that we're supporting our community. We've given Clay and Daryl the task and the challenge to pass a balanced budget, provide raises for all employees, just beyond teachers. I mean, it's important for all the staff, everyone from maintenance staff to paras and all the way up to the executive staff. We have to show support to our entire team, Brenham ISD team, and then finally, put money back in the fund balance. And it's going to be a challenge. Clay has a target. Daryl has a target. They know what needs to be done. So I support a 3% because I want to stay ahead. I want to stay leading the way. I want to stay ahead of the curve. I want to continue to retain teachers. I want the applicant pools to continue to be full of applicants next year and the year after. I don't want to do a one-time raise last year and cut them short this year. That's my opinion. I want to try to help our staff help our students to make sure we have the best educators in front of our students every single day.
And that is what I think when we look at student outcomes and how we're measured with state accountability It is the quality of the educator that is before our students that's going to make the greatest difference for us. So when we're looking at, and I know it's going from a C and trending the right way to a B and trending the right way to an A, it's the district's ability to have quality educators and train and equip them. You know, part of those positions that were added back were some were to specific campuses for instructional coach that had been going without an instructional coach. And you think about each one of you complemented what you're seeing happening in athletics. Well, you have the same thing academically, instructionally. New teachers that come in have to have a coach that teaches them what is it that high quality teachers do. And so that's important to us, and those outcomes, we are targeted in on them every single day. So
I have two questions and one comment. One of my two questions is, how are we? I know I saw data earlier on the elementary school ratios. How are we doing in terms of secondary ratios?
So Archer, I don't know that I can speak specifically to secondary ratios just because you're looking at a variety of courses. And so
Right.
how many students sign up for each course? I believe when they set the class size, I think Mr. Watts isn't here, but I think he said they set it between 27 and 28. Some classes are much smaller because less students selected that course in their course selection. And some, I don't know that I saw any that were much bigger. There may be one or two that are falling a little larger than that. But yeah, so it's more difficult to speak to secondary ratios just because you're looking at a variety of courses, a variety of selections, whether they're electives or CTE courses or science courses, those types of things. But we did add a couple of positions. We added a math teacher at the high school. We added that's elementary, an ISS. We changed that to a teacher position at the junior high to hopefully increase the effectiveness of that program. We also made some adjustments so that we could accommodate for an interventionist at the high school. So, you know, we did add some secondary. Junior high, we added an instructional coach there, as well as a specialized support special education teacher there. So we did make some adjustments
Okay.
at the secondary level.
Thank
as
you.
well.
And then
master
Go ahead.
schedule goes tomorrow. And so once, because they're doing course selections and then they'll
Right.
roll. So by August, we can have a good project. But right now, it's all being put in the
I
master
understand.
schedule.
I understand. I just wanted to ask the question. My second question is for you, Daryl. And I believe that we will do a great job. I have no doubt in you. I fully believe in you. But tell me how actually tight is this in terms of making sure that we can square the budget next year, and do you feel like it's manageable without allowing our staff to feel the pain, as it were? Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes. I mean, it's going to be a very tight budget. We're not going to have a lot of fluff, or not have any fluff, except what we intentionally decide to set aside for fund balance. But I mean, we're going to have to watch what we spend. We've been doing that ever since I've been here. We were able to loosen the grip a little bit this past year, and we should be receiving about the same revenues in 26-27 that we got in 25-26. We don't really expect any downturns. Fortunately, the legislature is not in session this past spring, so that's all been set. They set the funding 2 years in a row, so everything's pretty much known at this point, which going into this past year, we had a lot of questions going into the year. So that makes things a little bit easier to predict. But we are expecting to be able to still manage everything and keep some of the increases that we've been able to give to different programs in the 25-26 budget. We should be able to maintain those in 26-27, along with these changes and the raise that we have.
Right.
So.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then my comment is, as does everyone here, I think the fund balance is vitally important. And it takes a long time for it to be built back up to where it needs to be. Sure, do I wish we were doing it a little faster? Truthfully, yeah. But I also just being blunt, I don't want our academic team to lose traction because we're losing talent. And that's really the number one reason that I'm probably going to support this, is because I don't want to lose the talent. It's too important to keep it here because we've done so much work to get it all budgetarily correct that it really pains me to not put more back in the fund balance. It really, really does. And in a way, not criticizing anyone, but it sort of seems a little bit irresponsible. But on the other hand, I completely understand it. And so that's just kind of where I'm at.
Can I just get one clarity? Sorry, guys. I went when I went back to look at that number. We always thought child nutrition has their own budget. Is that right? Yes. Okay. So it looks like if we go with a 3% increase, that's a $34,502 approximate of what they. Now, where does that money come from? Is that, I mean, is the federal government going to kick that in for them, or I'm just trying to understand how it all works. That's all. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, no, I understand she runs, but it's a 3% jump, and so if we're voting on that, we have to take that in consideration as well. Yeah.
Right. The revenues, the revenues that the federal government and the state, mainly it's federal government, we see in child nutrition. Since we're in the CEP now, that's basically, we don't have a lot of local revenue as much as we used to. We still have some, but yes, the local revenues, the state federal revenues, that's what funds the program. So we get reimbursed a certain amount per meal served. And so that's where, we balance the child nutrition and payroll budget and expense budget against the revenues that we have that come in. So yes, we need to balance that, but that needs to be a balanced budget as well.
So she'll have to find that 34,502.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I wanted to thank everybody for the conversation. I mean, I think we're all in this for the right reason, and we have different views, but I think ultimately our heart and passion still is the same. It's the betterment of the district. So, if anybody has anything else, or we can move forward.
I just had one more small thing. I'm pretty sure that I'm in the minority here. I was originally coming in hoping we would find some type of agreement on, yes, we need to probably add some teachers and have a hybrid version of doing maybe 1% raise, because a raise is still a raise, and bringing on new teachers. I'm probably the only person who's not on board with 3%. I'm fully on board with going 2%. So I don't know if y'all are interested in even thinking about it or considering it. 2% raise is still a good raise. It puts more money in our fund balance, which I agree with the word you used, Archer, it's irresponsible, in my opinion, to not have over a month of reserves, and we should have 2.5 to 3 months. So I would love to see us get behind 2%, but if y'all want to do 3, I can't support it. But my ceiling, I guess, is at 2%.
Okay, thank you, Kyle. If there's no more discussion, what is the will of the board on this?
I make a motion to approve the district's compensation plan for the 2026 and 2027 school year as presented.
I'll second.
Kelvin Raven made a motion, seconded by Justin Colley, to approve the district's compensation plan for the 2026-2027 school year as presented. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Aye. The motion is carried. Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you. Let me just show appreciation for that. Thank you for getting that done. Again, that's been months of work to get to this point. I knew it was going to come with conversation. Let me say what I said again earlier. Everyone at this table understands and recognizes the importance of putting money back in fund balance. Every one of you understand the importance of supporting your current staff with salary and wages, and every one of you understand the importance of teacher-student ratio in building back the staff. So, that's a conversation we've been having for months and months and months, and we feel like this is the best balanced approach to those things. We'll continue to try to approach all of those responsibilities in a very balanced manner.
Okay, next, consider impossible approval to set the 2026 proposed tax rate for maintenance and operations. Mr. Sinclair.
Okay, it is time again to look at tax rates for the next fiscal year. What we have for you tonight is the proposed tax rates. These are not the final, not the ones that are actually going to be based on tax bills that will go out. That will be decided at the regular August meeting next month. So what we do need, though, at this point is direction and information to put in a publication in the newspaper coming up very soon here so that we can go ahead and move forward with the final steps of the budget adoption and the tax rate adoption that will come next month. So what I've included in your board packet, this is basically the same information that I gave you. Well, it's updated versions of the same type of information I gave you last year. TEA put out their to the administrator addressed letter back at about the middle of June stating what the range will be for the maximum compressed tax rate. Basically, the range will be between 0.5628, so 56.28 cents, up to 62.54 cents. So every district in the state initially will fall somewhere in that range. A floor of about 56 cents and a ceiling of about 62.5. The only things that change that are the enrichment pennies. There's the golden enrichment pennies and the copper pennies. And as you know, we've been alluding to this, I'm making comments about this all night. We had a Vader pass last year. The board can automatically increase the rate by 5 cents, 5 golden pennies, without voter approval. Our voters did successfully approve an additional 3 cents. So now we're at the 8 cent mark above that maximum compressed rate range. So whatever our MCR is determined to be by TEA, it will not be determined by me. It will be determined by TEA the first week of August, so very soon here. Then we can add back the 8 cents that have already been voter approved from the previous year. And so that will be an ongoing thing from one year to the next. So there on the second page of that letter from TEA, they have a chart there where they break down the tier 2 golden pennies, 1 through 5, 6 through 8, and then the copper pennies above that. So again, we fall in that 8 cent range altogether that we can add back. I also included the preliminary property value survey calculations that we've received this template again from TEA just recently. And so right now, the only thing, the only thing we really have to plug into this calculation is the 2026 tax year chief appraiser certified property values, which we do not have yet. We are scheduled to get those probably by the end of this week. They're due to us by the 25th of July. What I'm using right now is an estimate based on the preliminary values that we discussed back in, I want to say, May. We got the values in April, so we probably talked about that at our May board meeting. I don't recall exactly, but it's been a couple of months. So I'm using the best guess. You know, I've talked about this before. There's a lot of guesses that go on right now between now and the next couple of months. So the best guess is what I put in there, and that calculates for us a 0.6070, 60.7 cent maximum compressed rate. So right now, I feel fairly confident that's about where we're going to land. If our property value goes higher than that, it could push it down a bit. If it's lower, which I doubt it will be any lower than that, it could go up slightly, but it can't go up much. So right now we're looking at, with our enrichment pennies, being somewhere in the ballpark of about 61 cents for our adopted rate that you'll get next month. So again, to have a newspaper notice that covers us at a high end, because if we end up having a higher rate than we publish in the newspaper that you decide to adopt next month, then we've got to republish the notice because we've exceeded the proposed rate. So we don't want to exceed the proposed rate. I want to give a little cushion there. So 60.7, and then we add the 8 cents back, would be 68.7 total with our enrichment pennies. So I'm predicting it's going to be about 68 to 69 cents, probably closer to 69. But I'm asking you to approve a proposed rate for maintenance and operations of 70 cents. So we do have a little bit of cushion there in case the numbers come back just a little bit higher. But that's my prediction for now. That's what I'm asking, or what we're asking the board to approve, that would go into the newspaper notice.
He gave you about a penny cushion last year
That's
as well. So it's
typically what
it's
we-
about
yeah.
exactly what you did last year. Yep.
The rate really isn't expected to change a whole lot. Last year it was 0.6884, and so now we're talking about 0.6870. It's
Well, at least we
almost
didn't have
exactly
to
the
condense
same.
this year. I think this is the first time, I don't know how many years we haven't had to take money away, so that's kind of nice. Okay, any questions? If not, what is the will of the board?
I'll make a motion to set the proposed 2006 tax rate at 70 cent for maintenance and operation per 100 valuation as presented.
Second.
Kelvin Raven made a motion, seconded by Kyle Hafner, to set the proposed 2026 tax rate at 70 cents for maintenance and operations per $100 valuation as presented. All in favor? Aye. All against? Motion carried. Thank you, Daryl.
Mm-hmm.
Since you're here, would you like to talk to us about the INS?
Yes, basically the same. Well, not exactly. It's a much simpler discussion, actually. But we do have to have a proposed rate for the INS, the debt service rate, as well as the M&O, and both rates will go into the newspaper notice. So we've had an 8 cent INS rate now for quite some time. I'm sure everyone who remembers the conversations leading up to the bond election remembers that we talked about, even with that additional $39 million bond and repaying that debt in addition to the older debt that we already had, we should still be able to stay at 8 cents and not increase the tax rate. That is still the estimation going forward, that we need to continue at an 8 cent tax rate, no increase. So that is what we are proposing. Again, I don't see any scenario where that would need to go higher. I've already checked the amount of debt payment we have coming up scheduled for next year. The 8 cents should cover it, best I can tell, given the fact I don't have certified values yet, but I don't expect a huge change between the preliminary and the certified. So the 8 cents should cover it.
I would like to make a motion to set the proposed 2026 tax rate at 8 cents for interest and sinking per $100 valuation.
I'll second.
Archer Arsh has made a motion, seconded by Kelvin Raven, to set the proposed 2026 tax rate at 0.08 for interest and sinking per $100 valuation as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank y'all.
Hey, Daryl, where are you going? Please come back. We need to set the date and time for the public meeting to hear public comments on the 2026-2027 proposed school district budget and the 2026 proposed tax rate. You want to walk us through this, please?
Sure. I did not print that out. That's why I thought I was done. I had everything else printed out and scheduled here. We do need to obviously set the hearing for the discussion, for the public hearing of discussion of the budget, which will be at the next regular board meeting, just before we'll have the preliminary hearing or the budget hearing just before the regular meeting begins, and then go straight into that one. So we're saying 6 o'clock on I didn't print it out, 17th. Okay. Yes, our regular third Monday meeting in August. That's when we will have discussion about the actual budget. I'll show you I'll give you the actual data, and then at the actual regular meeting, then you'll be asked to approve it.
I'll go ahead and make the motion to set the date and time for the public meeting to hear public comments on the 2026-2027 proposed school district budget and 2026 proposed tax rate for Monday, August 17, 2026 at 6 p.m. here in the lecture rooms 111 and 113 at Brenham High School as presented.
I'll second.
Justin Colley made a motion, seconded by Kelvin Raven, to set the date and time for the public meeting to hear public comments on the 2026-2027 proposed school district budget and 2026 proposed tax rate for Monday, August 17th, 2026 at 6 p.m. in lecture rooms 111 and 113 at Brenham High School as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Daryl.
You're welcome. And that information will also be in the newspaper notice that will come out in a couple of weeks.
I think that was the most amount of times I've ever said 2026 in a sentence. That was a lot. Okay, next, Superintendent Guillotine and his executive team will present information regarding a policy review and policy update.
Yeah, thank you, Jared. So I've given out a lot of information about the policy review as well as update 127. Again, as I said in my opening remarks, the policy review is the first since 2011. So really it was just a lot of aligning policies with current practices. Some examples I've given you, aligning food services with the current CEP model, modernizing our extracurricular attendance caps. I went through that in a previous district as well. It's pretty easy to go past that attendance cap if you're just, for example, an ag student and also in a sport. So we feel like we've moderned that with our current practices. Streamlining the out-of-state travel process. We've talked a couple of times. I know I've talked with Jared and Bonnie about that. I am making a recommendation to raise the board purchasing threshold where I come to the board for approval. That's been the same threshold since 2008. We've had just a little bit of inflation since 2008. Most of the districts around us are already at 50. There's been a current recommendation from the state for districts to move up to 100. We're asking that we go from the current 35 to the 50, really for a timely situation, just as today. I feel like there can be a lot of these, quote, emergency type situations with construction going on. I brought you one today that was just beyond 40 for the HVAC issues at Krause. So asking you to increase that from 35 to 50, which again, if you look at inflation since 2008, I feel like that is very, very reasonable. We'd still be below the threshold with just inflation alone. Update 127 are those updates that we get a couple of times a year, and those have been provided for you as well. There's a wide variety of policies here, so I've asked the cabinet here to be very familiar with them. We've spent 2 or 3 days going over them together and are happy to entertain any questions you might have about any of those policies.
Questions? Anybody?
I was waiting to see if anybody else had anything. I'm kind of neutral on the 35 to 50. It's not a matter of not trusting the right decision. Most of the construction stuff is going to be under the bond, so it shouldn't be an issue. But with our fund balance being so low, being able to spend that much money, it just makes me a little bit nervous. And so I would still rather those be brought to the board. So I don't care what the state says, because I really don't think they know what they're talking about most of the time. But because 100 just makes no sense. But 50, yeah, I understand the other districts around the area have adopted that, but they also have more in their fund balance than we do. So I would prefer to keep that the same.
Okay, I do want to, I know you've said that a couple of times about the fund balance. You do have to recognize we have taken a hard pivot there, and we are going in the right direction. Done with this cabinet and this board, so very, very glad about the progress we've made there. Yeah, really, this was timely. From 35 to 50, the state is making a change in their recommendation from 50 to 100 this year. Again, with us taking on bond construction right now. I cannot, unless it's an emergency situation, make a purchase beyond 35 without your approval. So just don't, you as more than anyone in this room understands the timeliness of construction and ordering and getting those things done just as quickly as possible. So just don't want to fall behind in that regard. But again, understand and entertain the conversation.
I want to add a quick note for our internal workflow. So what we set a threshold on with Daryl, we have a lot of internal practices. He could have picked a different threshold, but anything that's over $1,000 does not get through without Daryl's approval. So if it's below $1,000, we have a different chain in the system, but anything $1,000 or over, he personally sees every single one of those requisitions in the system. So, and he'll flag them regularly at the monthly budget meetings with principals and directors, in addition to cabinet, to make sure that those expenditures, if he has a question, come. And for example, we have one on cabinet agenda this week where a director will be coming to speak with us about an upcoming expenditure to get in alignment before we look at the options to move forward.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. It's by no accident, and y'all know this. It's by no accident that we've made the hard turn that we have with finances. I meet with this team right here every Monday morning and every Friday morning, and we have put a lot of protocols in place. They meet with the principals and directors over their budget at least once a month, and as Brooke just mentioned, if it's over $1,000, Daryl has to approve it, and I promise you he is seeing those and discussing those with us every Monday and Friday. So Kyle, just know the protocols are in place. My main concern from 35 to 50 is with a lot of construction work coming up. I'm anxious to get that work moving. Know this, whatever you decide, I will absolutely have Eric here every month to explain that to you in detail.
I think it's
We've turned it around, and I'm not denying that. You've done an amazing job, and the problem is that 35 was there when it went straight into the tank a long time ago. It wasn't you, it wasn't your team. It just makes me nervous. I can get behind it. I get the point. I get the reasoning. I didn't know that all of the bond, if it's already approved under the bond, that you still have to approve those purchases. So, yeah, I can see it, and I guess if we get to a point where it makes me nervous again, we can bring it back up to do policy again. But it's just a lot. So
it is. I think it's a fair compromise. I mean, he's not going to the full 100,000. It's 15,000 more than what we're doing right now at 50. And we are going to have a lot of these situations pop up with the construction. So this may help us save some time in some board meetings, but
yeah, I Kyle once again beat me to the punch on this. I was not concerned, but it did raise a flag for me when I read that. And again, Clay, not because I don't trust you and or your team, but it's just different. I mean, Kyle can and Jared can speak to this. There was a time when we didn't even have monthly financial updates from our financial advisor, and it was like once every 2 months, I think, and that led to obvious challenges and issues. And so when you loosen the reins a little bit, it just raises those flags for me. Again, totally gonna support it. Just wanted to express that a little bit.
Thank you, Archer.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any more comments?
Yeah.
Or
my only comment was I think the key, like Kyle said, is we can always go back. Like it's not set in stone. So if we can get through construction, we can get through some of these projects, and then we can always revert back if we feel that it's needed. If anybody has anything else. I mean, I agree with everything that I read through here. It all makes sense, updating to current 2026 times with what's going on in the district with instructional days and the CEP program with the cafeteria. And so I will go ahead and
hang on, Justin. Yeah. I just want to say real quick, we need to advertise on a billboard that Daryl approves anything over $1,000. I think that would help us a lot with the community, but that's just the thought. Maybe we need to buy a billboard and put that up. Daryl approves $1,000 or more. Anyway.
Okay, what's the will of the board? We will need two separate motions because there is a 15A and a 15B.
Okay, so I'll so for 15A, I will make a motion to approve the addition, revision, and deletion of local policies in accordance with the proposed changes resulting from the policy review session conducted on February 12, 2026, as presented.
Second.
Justin Colley made a motion, seconded by Kyle Hafner, to approve the addition, revision, and deletion of local policies in accordance with the proposed changes resulting from the policy review session conducted on February 12th, 2026. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. With that, again, there are meetings about 6 months a year where we have a couple of meetings a month, but there are also another 6 months a year where we have once a month meetings. So again, we could get behind with construction if we don't have that authority. So thank you.
Okay. What is the will of the board on 15B?
What did we pay for this update?
I'm not sure, Kyle. We've got the annual membership. Debbie, do you know the
Yeah,
annual
membership doesn't
membership off the
include
top of
policy
your?
updates.
Yeah,
It usually is about that much.
I think, yeah, it's typically about $1,200, but I don't know the exact cost off the top of my head.
It's just ridiculous. We pay membership and then we have to pay for an update that we could also get the same update somewhere else. But I digress. It's a futile point for us to go down this road and talk about how. Never mind.
It's a big
Anyway,
agenda already.
It's the exact same updates out there for half price, and we could have gone somewhere else to get the exact same stuff with the exact same wording. I don't know if it's exactly half, but regardless, we're already down this rabbit hole and drowning. So I'll leave it alone.
Okay, what is the will of the board on 15B?
Well, I thought you was going to approve it. Negative? No. Oh, okay. All right. I'll give you benefit of the doubt on that. I'd like to make a motion to. I'd like to make the motion to approve the addition, revision, of deletion of local policy and recommended by policy service and according to the instruction sheet and localized policy manual updated 127 as presented.
I'll second it.
Was it? Okay, Kelvin Raven made a motion, seconded by Sean Kuntz, to approve the addition, revision, or deletion of local policies as recommended by policy services and according to the instruction sheet for localized policy manual update 127 as presented. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, guys. Okay, next we have a consent agenda. We can pull any item specifically or approve all as presented.
I would like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Archer made a motion, seconded by Justin Colley, to approve the consent agenda as presented. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next, we have monthly reports for information purposes. Clay, you have anything? Okay, we don't have anything for executive session. So with no further business to come before the board, this meeting is adjourned at 7:53.